Well, good morning and happy Friday. Not just any Friday, it is Good Friday. And it's also Brandy Neal's birthday. Should I start with Good Friday or Brandy's birthday? You guys are the boss. You tell me, because we have a lot to go through today. Old Stacy has been a bad boy. He must have really pissed off his parole officer. Let's start with Brandy. Let's tell Brandy happy birthday. What an amazing woman. I sent her a small little gift. And I wrote in the card, I said, I'm proud to know you. And the world is better with you on it. And that is the truth, because she has fought her ass off to get answers for her son. It is also Good Friday. Normally I do the comments, talk about, welcome your neighbor. But today is Good Friday. So let's take a second, and you'll hear it again, to pay respect for our Good Friday. Yes, happy Good Friday. If there is such a thing as a happy Good Friday, I know a lot of people have the day off, they have the entire weekend off. Some are off on Monday. I guess depends on how you celebrate. Damien said, I'm back. Did anyone miss me? Damn sure did. You better believe it, Damon. Wondered where you been. So now we're going to take a second and tell your neighbor above and below in chat, get to know each other, hola, and happy Good Friday. And thank you, CR, for gifting 5 Crime Lines and Lies memberships. I will play the music in a minute. I apologize, everyone, that yesterday we did not have a show. Well, that is because me, Brooks, had to venture out into two of what I consider the 7 layers of hell. One was my local Walmart, and the other was the DMV. If you remember, I'm sure you saw my driver's license picture. Mug shots look better, but it was quite the hoot. You know, you just love dealing with government employees, but they were super nice. It went smooth, you know, changing address and everything like that. But I am so happy everyone is here. I can't see the poll because I'm in StreamYard. And you know, my husband pays for the cheapest StreamYard. I call it the welfare StreamYard. If anybody wants Greg to get a better StreamYard, put in there, Greg, loosen up the wallet. Loosen it up. We have a lot to talk about today. And I mean a lot. Stacy has been a bad boy, as I said. You know, he has been grifting money off of people left and right to stay in the hotel. He had 6 parole violations. But the 3 that concern me the most are the ones that he claimed on this channel he would never do. First, let's play the music in order to thank CR for gifting 5 Crown Lines and Laws memberships. All right. And now, without further ado, I'm going to bring up our very good friend, Lena Westbrook, who has been very, very involved in Michael's case. Now, I will say that the court hearing that went down the other day did not have anything to do with Michael Vaughn. But a few of the details that came out did definitely pique my interest. So take a second and let's have a round of applause for our good friend, Lena. Well, good morning, you old stranger.
Good morning. How are you? How is everyone?
Doing good. We have been anxiously waiting for this information. And I'm going to go ahead and get right to it, if that's okay with you.
Yes, let's.
If I say anything that I'm not supposed to say, then just, you know, pull the reins and put me back. First off, I'm going to say parole officers, their job is to keep people out of jail. They encourage them to do what they're supposed to do. They don't want them in jail. To do the simple things, in my opinion, they're simple, that Stacy would not do. If you change where you live, let them know.
Right.
If you're supposed to get drug tested, go get drug tested. You're not supposed to communicate with several people from the old neighborhood, if you know what I mean.
Correct. You're not to be talking to, it's a well-known fact. If you're on probation or parole for anything, you are not to be speaking with or cohorting with known criminals.
He was originally released from jail in November of 2023. Was it November or December? Because I did a show about it.
I think it was November, because I think there was that whole, he wasn't supposed to be released until February, and somehow he was out early for time served. I'd have to look back, but I seem to think November.
November. Okay, so again, probation officers, parole officers, whatever you want to call them, their job is to keep people out of jail. I remember specifically that one day, Stacey Wandra wanted money to go get a drug test, and I spoke with his parole officer, who was super cool with Stacey and said the exact same thing. Hey, buddy, I just need you to cooperate. Just need you to cooperate. Well, we have other issues because, for one, Brandon Shirtliff came back to Idaho, and I believe he was trailed because he had 2 citations in a very short amount of time and
Mm-hmm.
in areas that you're lucky to see a person, let alone a cop. Go ahead, Lana.
Correct. I kind of feel too. I mean, that's, interesting you say you think that Brandon was trailed, but when I saw that or heard that he was back in Idaho to face that, long old marijuana charge that he's been avoiding, it was just boom boom, like, citation after citation, in 2 different counties. One is in Ada County and the other is in Canyon County. So he is clearly driving all over the valley without license and insurance, because that's what these tickets are for, on top of, as mentioned, facing his pot charge, and he has retained a private attorney.
A private attorney, and who would need a private attorney for one silly warrant that his mama already paid?
Oh yeah, no, you'd be able to just go, and that's the interesting thing too. Like, the warrant was out there, and I'm like, how come they didn't pick him up? And I go look at the dates, of his citation versus when the warrant was quashed, and his first citation was 2 days before the warrant was quashed. So why wasn't he? I don't know. I have questions, but yes, why would you need some high priced local criminal attorney for a simple marijuana charge that you could stand before the judge yourself and pay your fine, or get a public defender for?
Well, and the warrant was not, I mean, it was barely over $1,000. And I'm not
Yeah,
saying $1,000 is not a lot of money, but that can be easily addressed. But this attorney that Brandon Shirtless has, this is a very expensive attorney. So the warrant is no more. Unless I'm looking in the wrong place, that's
nope, the warrant is no more as far as I know. Also, it's been quashed.
it's gone. It's over. Okay,
Mhm.
so Brandon comes back to Idaho and he gets 2 citations. And a few days later, Stacy gets scooped up from America's Best Value Inn with his new girlfriend. And you ought to see that hot mess. Damn! I couldn't imagine how he got that thing. Fuck. Anyway, and so he is back in jail for 6 probation violations.
Correct. That's what the judge stated had been filed by his parole officer. 6 different categories, 6 violations. I was a little confused by that because the judge stated right out the gate, there's 6 violations filed against you, but then went on to list so many different things. So I think it maybe is like each area, each category, because, like, as an example, they stated he lied to his parole officer multiple times, but that it was one violation, not each time he lied was a violation. So but still, it was stacked up pretty high. He has been busy boy.
Okay, I'm back. Can you hear me? All right, can you hear me? We're having an issue. Damn it. Okay, so you can hear me now? Slim said yes. Okay. Yeah, there's an issue. It's extremely windy here, so I'm assuming it has to do with the Wi-Fi. Let's bring Lena back up and pretend like that didn't happen. Are you there, Lena? She'll have to reconnect too. All right, so let me go through it. He failed to report where he was residing. That's a very simple procedure. You know, you're told when you get out of jail in November, these are your rules. These are your rules. And we know he was flopping from one place to another. Hell, the state of Idaho paid for him to stay at the Budget Inn. That's what, yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, I'm like, let's pause for a moment while Greg upgrades StreamYard.
He's going to get it when he gets home. Brown said these are easy peasy rules. He failed to report where he was residing numerous times admitted. We know.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so we know he lived with Carolyn. We know he lived with Kelly. We know he was at the Budget Inn. We know he was at the shelter in Boise, 2 different ones. He was at one in Nampa, and then he was at the America's Best Value Inn. So he failed to report the entire time where he had bounced around to. He also left the state and went to Ontario, Oregon. And he was there for almost 9 hours. Why would he be in Ontario, Oregon?
Well, most people drive to Ontario, Oregon to visit the dispensaries, you know, because that's where they can go get their marijuana legally.
And most parole officers really don't give a shit until they have to. Again, I'm looking at the timeline. Brandon got a citation in Idaho early March. He got another one mid-March. And a few weeks later, or I'm just say a few days later, Stacy gets picked up. Now, this is the biggie. I'm not going to go through all the names, but this was said in court. As you remember our conversations with Stacy, he said he wanted nothing to do with Brandon Shurtleff. Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing at all. I'm going to give you a friendly reminder. When Stacy and Sarah originally went to jail, there were 2 people left at the house, confirmed by Kay, who is Sarah's mom. I'll just call her the mom. She owns the home. When Stacy got out in November, he reached out to 2 very important people in my book.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Shurtleff and Randy Strickland. As you remember, he wanted that plea deal. He wanted the 15-7 to tell them where Michael was buried. When they excavated the yard, they knew that Michael had been there at one time but was no longer there. He had been moved. If you get out of jail and you are told by your parole officer, do not talk to these people, and the first thing you do is you contact Carson Starkey, who lived next door, Brandon Shurtleff, and Randy Strickland. Now let's think about that. Lana, go ahead.
Yeah, it was again, my mind went back to sitting there in the room listening to the judge list this off. And when they read it, it's extreme. Of course, it's district court, it's federal court, it is extremely formal. So he's like, on such and such date at such and such time, you did speak with so and so, and you admit this. And Mr. Wondra, and he would be like, correct. So he admitted in court and previously signed admitting to these parole violations that he did these things and did speak to these people. I heard that in court. So he has been communicating with, and there was a list of like, I don't know, 12 names. I don't have it in front of me, like 12 or so different names of known criminals or felons read off in court that he was communicating with since he has been out. And the fact that he's speaking to another suspect in the abduction of Michael Vaughn while he's out on parole is sus AF, all caps.
Not just once, and in his words,
multiple
times.
Multiple times.
Yet he was on this show and other panels saying he wanted nothing to do with Brandon Shurtleff. He said he barely knew Randy. Now let's go back to the plea agreement. He was going to get 15 and 7 to tell them where Michael is. He told them Michael's in the backyard. They excavated the yard. Sarah Wander also said he was buried in the backyard. Now remember, she had also been in jail. When those two dumbasses, Sarah and Stacy, were in jail, I believe someone moved Michael because the shit hit the fan when Tanner wanted to move the grill from what he called a dead spot. And they said, oh, and they freaked out. A gun was pulled on him. He was beat with a dog bone. They said because they don't want Oakley digging up that spot. According to Tanner, and this is firsthand information, there was holes all over the backyard because the dog was always digging. But that one spot, they said, do not let Oakley around that spot.
Well, and wasn't that something that Stacy also, and correct me if I'm wrong, said in some of his multiple interviews that he, contradicted himself because at one point he had said the yard was not disturbed. And then at another interview, he did say that the dog would dig all the time. So I think even Stacy has admitted that the dog was digging. They were trying to stop the dog from digging in a specific area. And we know from Stacy's own interviews on social media as he was clearing his name, when he was giving his tip, he was FaceTiming law enforcement, telling them where to dig. 100%. He admitted that.
And now he says, well, I say now, recently he said that he made that up. It was a shocker to Stacey Wondra.
Yes.
When they excavated that yard.
And Michael wasn't there.
Michael wasn't there. So where is he? And why is Brandon back in Idaho? Why, when Stacy got out for his federal charges on probation, which he violated. So we can tell right now he's not an innocent man. Because if you didn't do anything, you would have no reason to reach out to Brandon or Randy Strickland.
No, he's not. I, sitting in the courtroom, was rather surprised at how much he looked over at me and stared me down through the whole thing. Just making eye contact and looking over at me, looking at his attorney, looking at me, look at the judge, look at me, looks at his paper, look at me. And I'm sitting there with, my Michael Vaughn missing pin and my advocate community shirt that all of us had from the beginning events, Michael Vaughn's name and face on it. And it was intense, and yet you could tell, like, he is very much guilty of something with this. He very much knows it, and he acknowledged it. I mean, he even gave me an acknowledgement nod when he walked right by me as he was being shuffled out in his chains.
Well, he probably gave you that nod because he probably thinks you're a fan of his or something. And to clear it all up for people that said, what is the evidence? Michael was never in the backyard. I can play the press conference again where they said they have evidence that says Michael was buried in the backyard and was later moved. I'm not the scientist. I don't do the forensics. I can't go through it. I couldn't even tell you how they know, but they do know. And they would not dig up the backyard.
They dug up their backyard because Stacy told them Michael was buried there, period. We know that now. Stacy can go run around and say, oh, I made that up. And I was just being this, horrible person putting the family through whatever just to, get back at Sarah. But that's not the case. All of us that are listening, all of us that are following this, all of us with, more than half a brain can recognize what the truth is and what really happened. And Stacy is an idiot. He was just, I don't know why he was trying to get so much social media attention other than money, his grift. But it took him just a few months, and that parole officer got him. They got him good. They have so many charges, including doing methamphetamine. I mean, that's not an easy one. Don't do drugs when you're on parole, okay? Because you're not supposed to do drugs. He just broke all the rules. It's mind-boggling.
I think that the last straw for the parole officer was the communication, many communications with Brandon
100%.
and Randy Strickland, because breaking news to everyone, criminals don't care about the law. You tell them you're on parole and you got to get a job, and they go to the Burger King and they're like, oh, look, I'm working here 3 hours a day. And then they piss hot. They forgive those things, believe it or not. So they have evidence that these 4 people have abducted Michael. Let's look at the walk of shame Stacy did as he was walking away from court the other day. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience. I'd never been to this building or a federal hearing, but like the county hearings, they set a hearing time, 11:30. They shuffle in everyone from the jail, and then they go down the list, of everyone that's in. I got there a little bit early, so I'm sitting in the courtroom, and they bring in somebody else. And I was like, oh no, maybe I got, because they didn't bring him in at first. So they bring them in one at a time. Just that whole process of one person coming up to this floor with their federal guards. And I mean, it was eerie too, because there's nobody around. This was up on the 5th floor. So I had to go through security, elevators, and literally all you see are these old men in their navy blue suit jackets with their guns and their identification, and they're the I don't know what their title is, but the bailers, the security, whatever, and those guys are like everywhere, and it's helping you and telling me where to go and whatnot. But there was literally like no one else. Nobody, no girlfriend was there to support Stacy. No parents,
No,
no Brandon Shirtliff, no Randy Strickland. Nobody was there to support Stacy.
nope. I can tell you right now, the girlfriend was probably at the America's Best Value Inn. And thank you, Mary Lopez, for becoming a new YouTube member or renewing. This right here. And at that point, he has no chains on. He's just waddling.
No, he has the chains on the front. Because he's cuffed. They didn't have chains on his feet, but he is cuffed, but he's so large that they have to chain the cuffs in the front. So, because he can't be comfortably handcuffed with a regular size handcuff. So he had handcuffs, and then on each hand, and then a chain from those cuffs in the middle. So he had chains in the middle.
Hang on. Salt and Cayenne said this dude would be singing like the fat lady at the ball. Y'all think he can keep things himself or save his own ass? He tried. Michael was moved. They have evidence that Michael was in that backyard. They have the evidence. Unbeknownst to Stacy, he was moved.
Right.
When he was given specific instructions on what not to do when he gets out on parole, he violated big ones. The employment, they'll forgive. The drugs, believe it or not, they'll forgive.
Yep.
Even changing addresses, they'll forgive. Parole,
not seeing your therapist 2 times. That was noted as a citation. He didn't go to mental health therapy twice. They'll forgive that. You missed your counseling. Okay. Let's just make sure to get there next time. But you cohort with Brandon Shirtliff multiple times. The other named suspects in an abduction and that whole list of other felons and criminals. No.
Okay, I want to make something clear. Salt and Cayenne said, yeah, I don't care about his parole. I care about them finding Monkey. Listen, I don't care about his parole either. These charges honestly have nothing to do with Michael. In my opinion, in a way, they do. Because the fight with Tanner Butler is what led to the charges. When Tanner Butler was upset because he was trying to move the grill, and then Stacy and Sarah went nuts on him and the police got involved, that's when they went to jail. And the reason they were upset is because that was at that time where Michael was buried. That's where he was. That's why they didn't want the grill moved. That's why it was over the dead spot. They didn't want Oakley digging up that part of the yard. Even though there's other dig holes all around the yard. So on parole, you get out, okay? In November, this is Stacy. I'm just trying to make it as simple as possible so we can move on. He is told who not to communicate with. He wanted that plea deal. He wanted the 15-7 badly. He told them where Michael was. He obviously didn't get his plea deal. He wanted this done and over. Michael wasn't there. He gets out on parole, and who does he contact? The 2 people that were at the house when Stacy and Sarah were in jail for what came down after beating Tanner with the dog bone and pulling a gun on him. Hopefully I put that story together right. Did I do okay, Lena?
I think that sounded pretty accurate to me. So, yes, these charges are factually unrelated to Michael, yet the timeline of the people involved and how these charges came to be, and not only that, the information that these charges have brought forth that is 100% related to Michael makes it all relevant. And it's also relevant to discuss it here, I'd like to add, because we know that these individuals are watching. They have been watching. Brandon's probably listening now. Adrien follows and listens all of us and reaches out and toys with everyone from time to time. These people watch and listen, and they have been. They have been from the beginning watching this family suffer.
Mm-hmm. One of the craziest conversations I ever had with Stacy. I have a short on my channel where Brandy was talking about what Daisy had done. And Stacy watched it. Why? I don't know. And he said, Brandy looks a lot different. She's lost a lot of weight. And I said, now hang on. She has lost a lot of weight because she's stressed to the nines about her son. I said, have you ever met her before? And he's like, no. I just keep up with things, is what he said.
He had seen her in the previous press conferences and events that had happened. I've been asked multiple times if he or Sarah ever came to any of the events. And I believe no. I was at a lot of them, the bill signing. There was just, they were not there. They weren't at those things, but I do know that they were and are following these things on social media. It was, I think it was Chris McDonough said he was interviewing that one child predator, Gacy, and asked him what the first thing he did after he abducted a victim was. And he stated that he would go home and he would turn on the television and watch the news to see what the sheriff was saying. So they immediately watched. Immediately.
Because let me tell you what, you're exactly right. Between July 27th and, well, when they got incarcerated, they followed everything. Everything. Let me show you a small clip. This is a couple of months ago, me talking to Stacy. Can you see me now?
There you go.
How are you doing?
What are you doing?
Okay. Ignore me there in the corner because I'm talking to him. We hadn't moved yet, so the place was a mess. I don't really care about that. Of course, most of you, if you're a member, you saw my driver's license picture yesterday. Yep, that's my O face. And watch what he says when I ask about Michael. Just cleaning the house and looking at my Instacart order.
Your what?
My Instacart order.
Oh, nice.
What did you have for lunch?
Like Italian sausage with salad and soup.
Hang on, I'm in front of my laundry closet.
You don't have to close it. It's not embarrassing.
Well, I just haven't cleaned it today. It looks weird. He's such a friggin' perv. You don't have to worry about that for me. Oh my gosh.
What?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He didn't eat no salad. He didn't eat no salad. He's out of his damn mind. And it's cold here, so.
It's freezing here.
Oh, I can just imagine. Hey, something I forgot to ask you. You kept talking about what? Okay. When I say something I forgot to ask you, he does his hand like this. No, don't bring it up. Don't bring it up. Don't bring it up. What would it matter if he seriously has nothing to do with Michael's abduction? He has given the police a lot of information. Even if he wanted to backtrack on it, he has. You can't change the evidence. You can't change what you've said. Go ahead, Lena.
No, I wanted to ask you, where was he at when you were talking to him at this time? Is he at the shelter?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I think that might be partly why, because the shelter started to, you're not supposed to be sitting there like recording and doing these kinds of stuff in like the public spaces inside the shelter.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on who was around him, he may not wanted to have appeared to have been interviewing versus having a phone call.
I mean, that could be it. But when he put me on the phone with whoever was running the shelter at the time, because they were yelling at him about not washing his clothes. And I said, well, we talk quite a bit about the disappearance of Michael Vaughn. And he said, that's fine, but he can't go around here stinking all the time. So he's got to wash. He's got to wash his ass. He's got to wash his clothes.
That was a problem, I guess, at the jail too, not cleaning himself.
So now, when is the next court hearing for Stacy?
Let me go look. I wrote it down in my notes. Tuesday, May 28th, 9 a.m. And he's staying incarcerated. They did not let him out, despite his attorney, brought it up a couple of times that Stacy has a job that he's supposed to start on Saturday. And this attorney that was there is Thomas Monahan, I believe is his name, and he's the one that Stacy was referencing, was gonna represent him for free, if anything happened with Michael Vaughn. That was the guy that was there.
Well, I've got his picture on the screen right now from court on Tuesday. I don't see Thomas Monahan there.
That's him standing right behind Stacy in that blue jacket.
Oh, I apologize. I thought
That's
was
his attorney. Yep. And then, after they all left, and because again, I said this building's so empty, so eerily empty for being such a large building, and so many cars in the parking lot too. It's like, where is everyone? But when I'm going to the elevators, it's the same elevators they took Stacy out. Like, we're all going to the same place, so they go in an elevator. I hit a button, and I'm like literally standing there with his attorney, and the elevator opens and I step in and he walks past and goes to another one.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this guy only represents him on the federal charges. He was assigned.
Correct.
It's free. It's free.
Correct.
The state,
Correct.
the taxpayers of Idaho are paying for Thomas Monahan because it's all the same charge. And I understand some people will say the parole, probation, all that stuff has nothing to do with Michael. The
But it does.
the crimes don't. But what led to the arrest does. Because
Yes.
they would not have been alerted had Sarah not beat Tanner with the dog bone and a gun not been pulled on him. And the entire thing was because Tanner was moving a grill away from where Michael at that time was buried.
Yes, and also the information that came out after Stacy was arrested for that charge, that charge, he tried to use the information he knows about Michael Vaughn to his benefit for that completely unrelated federal charge. He was like, okay, hold up, like, you're going to send me to federal prison? Let me tell you where this missing child is buried. He literally came out the gates crying, asking for them to forgive him, give him a chance, give him an easy deal. It's everyone else but me. I will tell you where he's at. So it all matters because he's using this in regards to Michael's case. Information has come out since Sarah was arrested and incarcerated for her unrelated charge. It all leads to information that helps find Michael.
Absolutely. Because there's no reason to have a fit about a grill in your yard when you have company to the point you're pulling guns and beating someone with a dog bone.
Right. And then hiding that gun at your parents' house.
And then hiding the gun, the pew pew, and
pew pew. Right.
And for them to have forensic evidence that Michael was in the backyard. I mean, there are some very, very ignorant people out there that believe somehow in the night, Brandy and Tyler scaled their fence and buried Michael back there.
Right.
And
yes. Then correct. And framed them.
Mm-hmm.
Framed them. Just randomly chose a house mere blocks away.
Just
that is directly next door to some of the sickest people in the neighborhood, and just picked there.
Just me, and not the just me we have on our channel, says, I can't believe the lies you're spewing on your channel. Well, this is not my information. This is not my evidence.
That person is part of the original group that you and I were talking about prior to this show. Yes.
Well, what information do you have that counteracts the evidence that Fruitland, the FBI, Idaho State, that the authorities have? What evidence do you have that would be beneficial to find the real abductor?
They don't. This is the point.
I've been waiting. I'm going to drop the link right now.
Oh, okay, perfect. I'll go ahead and mute.
Oh, no. Well, no, you don't have to. What evidence do you have? I guarantee this person will not grab the link. Okay, so back to my conversation with Stacy. These people are not important. If they can't understand what's been put out and they want to argue, they can go somewhere else. It's really ridiculous at this point. We have been covering the case of Michael Vaughn for too long for people not to understand what's going on. In October of 2021, they said abduction. In November of 2021, there was a press conference that said abduction. They interrogated Stacy, Brandon, and Sarah in May of 2022. They had a full-on press conference in July of 2022 that said there's multiple suspects and people not cooperating. In November of 2022, they excavated the yard and said, we have evidence that Michael was in the backyard. People are sick. Hey, something I forgot to ask you. You kept talking about what?
If it's about that, not in front of the whole world.
Oh, well, okay, hang on. Gotta sneeze.
Wait, what? Not in front of the whole world, but you'll go on YouTube?
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Oh, I gotta get some, hang on, I gotta get some sanitizer. Okay.
Bless you.
Yeah, everybody's getting so sick. So if I cough or sneeze, I have to put this gel on. Well, I mean, you know who I'm talking about. I just want to put these things to rest. Why do you think that the DA, oh, hang on. I got to approve that cat food. Dang it. What do you think that the prosecutor was saying about Sarah's charge? Is it because you think they have more on her, or do you know?
No idea.
Because, you know, lawyers don't really like to waste their time, and detectives certainly don't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've heard the old saying, a dog that won't hunt.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hold on 1 second. Just,
Do you have any more job interviews lined up?
no, not today.
Well, I would want to get out of there as fast as I could. I don't like people around me.
No.
But I guess you're used to it, considering where you lived before.
Hey, can I get some more soup? Can I get more soup or no?
Get a hold of that settlement? No, I'm working on that. Yeah. I gotta call that number. Yeah.
Thank you. You got this. You got this. Your sausage or anything? Sausage?
One left.
Oh,
You
I'll
want your
check.
spaghetti?
Yes, please. Hold on a second, Girl Scout. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Owie. Owie, my back.
Oh no. Do you have any more of that Bayer aspirin you were talking about?
Uh-huh.
How often do you have to take it?
Oh, I can't
I
watch
take it
him
like
eat right now.
3 or 4 hours.
It is
I
too
thought
early
you were
for
going to
me.
the chiropractor today.
I don't have the money for it.
Well,
My Medicaid will pay for it, but they only pay, you have to pay the initial fee.
okay. So he's always got something going on, you know? Always.
Is this literally where you're going to stop?
Oh, I was going back so you could hear what he said.
Oh my God. He's literally always got something in his mouth. Huh, Adrien?
Now then, I am going to get trolled badly for fat shaming. Let's talk about the fat shaming that I'm accused of doing. And I am not a part of this case. I am not an investigator. I am not in the FBI. I am not part of any of the case. Stacy himself has said on this show over and over and over that he could not satisfy Sarah sexually because of his weight. He said he could never possibly abduct Michael because of his weight.
Correct.
He said he cannot dig a hole because of his weight. He said he couldn't mow the yard because of his weight.
Yep. Those are his statements in his defense. That he couldn't have participated because he's just too large to have physically done it. That's what he claims.
Mhm.
That's not fat shaming. That's pointing out what he has stated as his own fact from his own mouth, that he couldn't have done it. He did not dig a hole. He claims he did not take Michael. He couldn't chase down a little boy because he's too big. Somebody else had to have done it.
That's what he says all the time. But he volunteered other information, and we're going to get to that a lot, that has to do with the abduction of Michael Vaughn. For one, at first he said they went to Kuna, towed Brandon's car right back, just real quick. Well, it turns out no. They left around the time of Michael Vaughn's abduction, and they were not back until well after 10 o'clock. And you cannot tell me that this is not Brandon Shurtleff. I confronted Brandon with this. Stacy said that's a guy that just walks around the neighborhood all the time. Not a big deal. Why was Walking Man around the neighborhood just that day? Because I can tell you right now, none of the neighbors have ever seen this man that just walks around all the time. Stacy said he had a taxi run that day. He 100% did not. But he was seen at 2 splash pads. I don't think any child at a splash pad got on Craigslist and wanted Faith Taxi to give them a ride back home. Brandon said to me that Stacey didn't have a taxi run that day.
And Adrien has said to me the same thing.
Brandon also said the story about the toe strap breaking. Well, I asked him, I said, what happened when the toe strap broke? Obviously, he didn't know. And he said it never broke. That's something Stacy made up. So what were they searching for that day? We had a huge argument at the house on the 26th of July, 2021.
Who had a huge argument? Brandon and them?
Oh yeah, Brandon, Stacy.
Seems like there was a lot of those going on because there was another one that happened on August 20th because that's the date that Adrien moved out of the Wondra home and left the state after a huge argument with Sarah.
How often? Look at him chewing on that wiener. And you have to take it.
I take it like 3 or 4 hours.
I thought you were going to the chiropractor today.
I don't have the money for it.
Well,
My Medicaid will pay for it, but they only pay, you have to pay the initial fee.
Well, and you're somewhere quieter and we can talk privately. Okay. Oh, look, he's choking on the wiener. Look.
Oh my God, I can't. I mean, I know we can't share that stuff publicly, but I've seen screenshot conversations between him and Adrien that allege that there was something going on between Stacy and Adrien that involved wieners. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, but he says it was Sarah that was dropping down.
Right, it was Sarah, not him.
Now, my question is, and this is going to be speculation only, which is absolutely okay. What I want to know is, where does Adrien fit into this puzzle? We know that Stacy, Sarah, and Brandon ventured out on July 27th, 2021. We know that. We know that Adrien was dropped off at that Applebee's. There's a picture. I've talked to his girlfriend. She brought him back the next morning to the Fruitland house. How does he fit in? Because these conversations that Adrien had, he's asked a question. He said, I never murdered or helped, so just stop. You guys are crazy and foul. Damn, you grew up almost to kill your childhood friend and you help hurt my youngest son. Who is Adrien talking to here?
He is talking to someone who wants to remain unnamed, but is they were in that image. He met them at Applebee's that day. They are family. That's who he's speaking to.
We know that Adrien reached out to Stacy and said, did you really kill that boy? And all Stacy could do was throw out gay and racist slander.
Right. Which, goes back to Adrien's continued comments publicly from a multiple of his social media accounts that we've all seen, as well as messages directly to myself. He's continues to point out how Idaho's racist, uses terms like Idaho white Jesus will get him. You know, and I've grown up here, you know, there is it's not false for him to have a lot of that thought process. And Stacy just proved that, you know, right there in those comments to him. You know, that's how they spoke to him when he would say something to him. They just came right back with derogatory, racist slander because there was nothing else they could say.
Well, right here it says, "Then why you do that to that little boy?" He said, "That fat fuck."
Yeah.
Adrien has put in many messages to people that fat fuck did
Yep.
this. They're not talking about me. They're talking about Stacy.
Correct.
For those that keep saying over and over and over, I'm fat shaming, we can go back to the press conference. We have 4 suspects that have first-hand knowledge. Adrien is one of them. Was he in the truck when Michael was abducted? No.
No, I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I believe
He couldn't have been.
no, he couldn't have been. He was no, he was not, because he did not make it back after the Applebee's visit. He did not make it back to the Red Wing house. He did. It is confirmed that he was with someone else. So and I do believe him when he says that he was not part of, you know, taking Michael. He was not there. He was all day with his family, and that's been confirmed.
Well, we have a picture from 4:47 p.m. on July 27th when he's outside of the Applebee's.
Yeah.
And there, Sarah and Brandon went to a pawn shop.
With Adrien. So that picture, there was a series of them. That one was taken. That person who gave me the image said that Adrien, Brandon, and Sarah left about 30 minutes after that photo was taken, and they were going to go to the pawn shop to get Adrien's iPad, and they had to be back because Adrien had a date. So they needed to, you know, get to the pawn shop and get the iPad and get to dropping Adrien off at his date. So they left the Applebee's parking lot, according to them, about 5:15.
And the question is, with the duffel bag, the washing of the clothes, who all was at Tina's house the night of July 27th?
I don't know, and we would have no way of knowing because, as Stacy said, you can enter through the garage and avoid the camera.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's listen to this from Stacy, because Brandon has said a lot of things to several people, and I'm going to put a trigger warning up because you're not going to like what you hear.
I'm going to send you that money. I said, well, we had a deal. He goes, absolutely fucking not, I'm not. And I was like, are we fucking done here?
Okay, this is where he's bitching about Josh from the lab, because he called to complain to me about Josh from the lab, that Josh wouldn't pay him for hygiene products and for his information to come on the show. But why would he say that Eve and Dolly giving you money for your time is child exploitation?
There's not such a thing when it comes to that, because he thinks because I'm taking money for doing interviews about Michael, he thinks that apparently it's, and his words, child exploitation. And I looked up the statute on child exploitation, and there's only one thing called sexual child exploitation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure I'm not sexually exploiting a child.
No, I would say Brandon is with the stuff he looked up the statute.
Criminals always know.
Mhm.
They know the statutes. They know what they're going to get. You know, Brandon's made it clear that he knows exactly what he would, air quote, get if he ever gets charged for anything with Michael. He's not worried because it's not going to be that much, according to him.
Mhm. Yeah, Josh wasn't screwing with him. I mean, I can say I bought him a couple of sandwiches, but he was never paid for his time. And I don't care who paid him for his time as long as the information was out there. I really, honestly don't care. But we did have a conversation with Brandon about Michael, and he said some things that were extremely triggering. And I'm putting it out there. So just please absorb and listen. Saying about, selling Michael for sex out of the house.
Yeah.
And no one's going to put that on YouTube unless they just are crazy.
Mhm.
And Stacy went, yeah.
Yeah. Not, oh, that's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard of. How could anyone do that to a child?
Mhm.
He went, yeah.
So is it about Sarah having a baby to take care of or another money scheme?
So I honestly, I don't know if everyone listened to, like, speaking of Josh, he did an interview with Sarah's ex where, a lot had been revealed about her, confirming some things that, behind the scenes we had all known around the neighborhood. Like, there was a lot of talk initially on about her being forced to have given a baby up for adoption, because a lot of people in the neighborhood that live there knew about it, and so her ex confirmed that on those interviews that she had had a baby that according to him, her parents had forced her to place for adoption because she was young and not mentally stable enough anyway to care for a baby. I do firmly believe that traumatized Sarah to some degree. And I do believe that that was part of why she was so desperate to get pregnant and have another baby, because now she was an adult and she felt she could, take this one and not have her parents take it from her. But that wasn't happening. She wasn't getting pregnant by anyone. And I do believe there was some motivation behind Sarah to want the child for her own. And that might have been her own individual motivation. Everything else that happened, I think, was because of all of their connections, all of everything that was around them, and all that they've been involved with.
I totally agree with you. Cheesy Mary, she's a little frustrated. She's not getting answers to her questions. I don't have the answers. She said if they have DNA in their home or vehicle, I don't know anything about a vehicle. I do know about the home. I know about the backyard. That should be enough for an arrest. I don't know what the DA is doing. I don't know. Because this DA has never prosecuted without a body.
No, and, speaking of statutes in Idaho, that's extremely difficult. So they do need more, and we don't know what the DA is doing. All we do know of recent public news confirmation stated that, and I think it was KTVB, that Fruitland stated they have sent more information to the prosecutor. So there's
more evidence.
new evidence that
they
has
don't
come
have
forth
Michael,
to the prosecutor. Mm-hmm.
They don't have Michael, though. And that's the problem. And it's hard enough to convince one person of something. But if you have to convince 12, and you've got someone's life on the line that's looking straight at you, but you don't have a body, you see people questioning in here all the time.
Correct.
Imagine.
And then you have, the criminal on the other hand, as long as they can keep that body concealed, the less evidence that can be directly tied to them just because of biology, because of science, because of what will happen. I don't want to go into detail on that because Brandy's in chat, but that happens. Casey Anthony, when Kaylee Anthony was found, because of her remains where they were placed, it was incredibly difficult to find evidence to help convict.
And she had already been charged. And so without the crime scene, which was Kaylee Anthony, they didn't know the appropriate crime. And so when the DA went to Jose Baez and said, I'll take the death penalty off the table, I'll take murder 1 off, and we'll do manslaughter, he said no.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was smart enough to know they couldn't prove what happened. He knew it.
Yes, exactly. And criminals know that. So that's why they work so hard to conceal their crime. And when you have a ring like this, and that's what this is, a ring of at least 4 individuals, 4 named individuals, and potentially more, as Chief Huff has stated multiple times, there is multiple people in the neighborhood not cooperating.
Mm-hmm.
People knew that Michael was there and they did nothing.
Mm-hmm. Criminals don't like to talk to police. That's it. Okay, so listen again to what Stacy says.
Child exploitation. And I looked up the statute on child exploitation, and there's only one thing called sexual child exploitation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure I'm not sexually exploiting a child.
No, I would say Brandon is with the stuff he's saying about, selling Michael for sex out of the house.
Yeah.
And no one's going to put that on YouTube unless they just are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you were hot to trot when you heard about that.
Dude. No. I got no comment. It's just fucking stupid.
Crazy.
No comment.
Well,
Yeah, dude, if I ever see Levi out there, dude, I'm gonna fucking snatch him, I swear to God. Like, I'm not even gonna think twice. I will destroy him. And little do you know, he's got a significant criminal history too, just so you know.
oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Physically beating on his ex-baby mama, going to jail, getting drunk while doing his interviews and degrading people.
Brandon, yeah, I have spoken to someone that reached out to me through the community Facebook group that had dated Brandon for a time while he was in Montana, and they found out about like all of this afterward. But they stated quite fearfully that their children were afraid of him.
Uh-huh.
And that was their first red flag to the relationship, that with, in the early stages of dating someone and like introducing them to your children, your small children, and their small children were afraid of Brandon. And this person's like, okay, wow, like maybe he's not who I think he is at all. And then later, looked him up and found out, no, he's not who you think he is. But her own small children, because children know, they know. It's like children and dogs. They have that radar. They know bad. They know evil.
And I believe now we have a lot of answers why they don't turn on each other. Because all the dominoes are going to fall on each other. Stacy thinks he's smart. He thinks he's going to say, all right, they offered me a deal. Michael's in the backyard. And then I'm done. I'm signing the paperwork. I'm out. It's a conditional deal. And everything else they find out, they can't prosecute me with. I'm done. I got my 15 and my 7. That's it. He was shocked. when he found out Michael wasn't back there. He was shocked. That's why when he got out of jail, he contacted Brandon Shirtliff and he contacted Randy Strickland, verified through the federal court. And when he was asked about what Brandon said about the selling, he goes, yeah, I've got no comment on that. Why would you not just be inflamed and say, are you kidding me?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I would say. If someone was like, told me that I was being accused of abducting and doing that to a child, selling a child for those purposes, I would be appalled. I'd be like, when did they say it? Who did they say it to? I need to call the police, and this is disgusting. I'm going to have this looked into because this is horrific. Like, that's not his response. He's very casual. Yeah. It's almost like he's shrugging, like, yeah, isn't that unfortunate? Yeah. God, no, it's just like, those messages and screenshots that were received from Adrien showing conversations between him and Stacy and him and Brandon, because he's like, trying to prove that he didn't do anything to Michael. And he was saying to them, like, did y'all really kill that kid? Like, he was shocked.
Adrien asked him, he was like, did you really kill him?
Yeah, did you really kill him? So, which confirms that there was a period of time that Adrien knew Michael to be alive and with them.
I would say Brandon is with the stuff he's saying about, selling Michael for sex out of the house.
Yeah.
And no one's going to put that on YouTube unless they just are crazy. I bet you were hot to trot when you heard about that.
Dude. No. I got no comment. It's just fucking stupid.
I've got no comment. It's just effing stupid. Are you kidding me?
Right. It's mind-blowing. But I don't know. But to circle back to your question on like Adrien and how does he play into all of this, I really have no like confirmed concrete answer to that. Only really speculation based on conversations I've had with him, conversations with people around the community, with people that saw him that day, and seen their conversations with him. And really, it all shows and confirms and points to what he said, that he was not involved with the taking of Michael, but I do believe that he knew. And when he left the state of Idaho, Michael was still alive and with these people. And he doesn't want to come back because he's afraid that it's going to all be pinned on him. How he met them and how that all came to be, I don't know. But I don't believe that he was hiding out behind some dumpster, like they said. I do believe that he came here for a reason. And he's, shared that reason. But he has ties to Idaho. He went to college here. He played basketball at CSI. He met the mother of one of his children at school here. So he does have some ties to Idaho that go beyond the Wondras. But I don't know why he got there or why he won't come forward now and give the information that he has, other than, he continues to bring up how he's Black and that Stacy's going to blame it on him. Uh-oh. Did we lose Brooks? It's all me now. All right, intermission time. Thanks, Slim. No, Salt and Cayenne. I don't. Brandy Neal is not involved. So you are correct in that to think that she's not. I guess I'll just answer some questions, I guess. But yeah, Brandy and the family have been cleared, Salt and Cayenne. The police have stated in a press conference that they are not the focus of the investigation, and they have been stating from the beginning that the family is 100% working with them. They have given everything over to everyone multiple times, multiple agencies to try to find their son.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
She's back. Yay.
We're having a bad storm here. It's springtime in Tornado Alley.
Ugh, scary.
It is. It is. Yes, the family is not a focus. That's all there is to it. Here's a clip.
I'd like to note that after a year-long thorough investigation, the family is not a focus of our investigation at this point. They are continuing to fully cooperate with us in all of our efforts from the investigation standpoint. Today, as members of this community,
They are not, and I am so sorry for the disruptions today. People are hearing my wind chimes. OJ's being an asshole. We have like, I'm looking outside right now. I mean, we have like 60-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a tornado or anything. I don't mind a tornado because I need a new garage door.
Oh my God, Brooks, you're hilarious. Dead. I'm dead. We don't really get those here. I remember when I was in elementary school, we did have a tornado that touched down, and speaking of roofs, took the roof off of our elementary school. So our elementary school got some new roofing done. But that's about it. Like, we do get high winds and some random earthquakes now all of a sudden, but nothing extreme up here in Idaho other than the freaking cold.
Well, Angel P got these wind chimes, and they're huge, and they're on our front porch for Greg when his daddy died. And they are just gorgeous. And when the wind really kicks up, you can hear them. I mean, I'm inside the house, and you can hear them.
No, I could hear it. I was wondering what that was. Thank you for sharing that, because I could hear music, and I thought I was going crazy. I'm like, wait a second, where's that music coming from? Am I the only one that hears music? But no.
Okay, so sorry for the interruption. We will get back to this conversation. I know a lot of people dropped out. That's okay. It's live. It's live. It's live. To break the darkness of our conversation, I do have breaking news. I hate to be political with everyone, but this is extremely important, and I need your vote. So let's get ready. This is breaking news. OJ is running for president in 2024.
Oh my God. Finally.
OJ wants your vote. Anything that you need from OJ, you have to basically send him snacks and let him lay where he wants to lay. He has to stretch out across the couch.
Yes, OJ.
He has to watch birds on TV. He has to, you have to change his litter. And if you do for him, he'll do for you.
He'll do for you. That's great. I love the Trump toupee.
Mm-hmm. He will work so hard for all of you. So All right, so I broke that up. Thank goodness.
Oh, speaking of, I want to share some breaking news also that is, relevant, I think. But Idaho just changed some statutes. I think anyone who follows true crime knows that after the murders up north in Moscow of those 4 young students, Idaho brought back the firing squad as a form of death penalty. And then even more recently, Idaho has now changed certain crimes and punishment definitions to include the death penalty for certain horrific crimes against children. So crimes against children in Idaho, and you can go look it up and we can find out this, but a lot of them could now include the death penalty. So that should be of motivation to these individuals that know where Michael is, because Brandy and Tyler and the family Michael deserves to be found, and they deserve to know what happened and where he is and bring him home. And anyone who comes forward, clearly, the first walk is going to get the best deal. They want to know where Michael's at. This information needs to be brought forward. You could possibly avoid the death penalty.
And the truth is, Stacy did try to take a plea deal. And I'm not giving him any props, but he did.
No, of course not.
And I am so glad that certain states are readopting that law.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in Oklahoma, it's like the fastest escalator from when you get arrested. I mean, they're going to execute Athena Brownfield's aunt.
Oh, wow.
And that's a woman.
Wow.
They execute one a week here. Don't get me going on Texas. Don't get me going on Florida. Don't get me going on Alabama. Now, sometimes it takes 20 years, but either way, guess what? You're off this planet.
Well, Brandy said before in multiple interviews when she was pleading for people to come forward and help her find her child, she has said, I will forgive you if he comes home. Think about that. Think about that mother pleading repetitively any which way she can for information about this little boy. And I'm speaking to anyone that knows these 4 that could possibly be listening, because there are still people that live in that damn neighborhood that watch this family that know and could make that phone call that breaks it finally and brings Michael home. And that's what you need to be doing, because it's gone on long enough. These games, this, trying to get famous, want to make movies and, running around, poking and prodding people around the family with little tidbits of information that these assholes are doing to everyone. That gameplay needs to stop, because this is not a game. You guys took a child. You did not return him when you got scared and panicked after taking a child. You kept him. You hid him. You hurt him. You potentially killed him, and you still will not return him. It's gone on long enough.
And Adrien, how could Adrien Lucien be part of a documentary if he is supposedly innocent in the abduction of Michael Vaughn?
Exactly.
You can't.
No.
Well,
yeah, dude, if I ever see Levi out there, dude, I'm gonna fucking snatch him, I swear to God. Like, I'm not even gonna think twice. I will destroy him. And little do you know, he's got a significant criminal history too, just so you know.
This is Stacy talking about how he would destroy Brandon. But who did he call when he got out of the pokey? He called Brandon. Why? Because he didn't get his plea deal. Then he called Randy Strickland because he didn't get his deal.
No.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. physically beating on his ex-baby mama, going to jail, getting drunk while doing his interviews and degrading people.
And
Well, I mean, I
degrading
can say
people.
he's been on my show a couple of times. He's never, degraded me. Sometimes he seems a little preoccupied, because he's also working from home. I mean, he certainly never beat me up or anything. So I don't know anything about that stuff. But I mean, you told him this is what it is. I mean, how much did you tell him you needed? I can't remember now.
500. And I was just really I wasn't really taking it, I'd expecting to, do that. You know what I mean? I was just I threw it out there because it was something that Greg and I were joking about, but, I didn't think, anybody would really, but I was on the video for 2.5 hours with them.
Oh, so you did do the interview?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got all the way through it, and at the end, that's when he started trying to be a big old macho badass, trying to say that I highly suggest you stop taking payments from people.
Some people just can't put their pride to the side and just be cool. They just can't.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many times in my show I want to jump through the computer. I'm so mad, but it's not about me.
So you want to look at your text messages? I just sent you all the timestamps.
It never ceases to amaze me how much they all just want money to talk about Michael.
This is July 25th at 11:02 p.m. when Sarah's in the hospital. Then it has Sarah in Ontario. Let me go back. Hang on. Sunday, July 25th at 11:02 p.m. And so, like you said, and then I see a 7:51. Well, that's a screenshot of you at 7:51 your time. So at 11:02.
Okay, so I'm going to send you this.
Okay, and then I see. Can you turn that down, honey? Then I see this, the day that Michael was abducted, you took a picture of the Mercedes, the VIN number at 9:56 p.m.
Yeah, now look at this next picture that I'm sending you. This is when I took that picture of the Mercedes, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That little arrow, look at that highway. What does that say? Remember I told you that we drove down, we took the back road home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Through Payette. Okay.
This is very important considering Brandon said no toe strap broke. This is very important considering there was no taxi run that day. This is very important considering we know that Tanner was assaulted in the backyard for moving the grill because they did not want Oakley digging in the backyard. Listen again. Okay, that's Stacy flushing the toilet. Sorry about that. A lot of times he will sit on the toilet and talk. Okay, it's a horrible situation. You just have to get through it.
Okay, so I'm going to send you this.
Okay, and then I see. Can you turn that down, honey? Then I see this, the day that Michael was abducted, you took a picture of the Mercedes, the VIN number at 9:56 p.m.
Yeah. Now look at this next picture that I'm sending you. This is when I took that picture of the Mercedes, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That little arrow. Look at that highway. What does that say? Remember, I told you that we drove down. We took the back road home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Through Payette. Okay, that's Highway 16. And if you type it on your map, ID-16 on Google Maps, and that highway, like I told you to verify my story, literally takes you all the way to Payette.
Oh yeah, I don't know the area, hun.
No, I know. I'm just telling you. Like for your video, if you have to do a video on this to show people that I'm not lying, so they have more confirmation. Like if you literally do a live and show.
Such an idiot. Because literally what he showed us is that he had plenty of time. Now let's put together what they have said. Brandon said they stopped at the convenience store. That was to get fuel to get out of town at 7 o'clock. We know Michael was abducted between 6:40 and 7 o'clock. He was seen outside by other neighbors. Tyler was seen outside looking for him. Stacy has admitted to being in that area, not just on this channel, but on Lauren's channel as well. She even said, well, I mean, during the timeline, you're right there and you saw a child. He changed the appearance of the child several times to suit his needs because he knew he was caught. Being caught on YouTube, by the way, is not a big ass deal because guess what? I can't do anything with it. Multiple pictures were taken that day. One of the Mercedes, another of what's underneath the hood that they believe was important. Adrien in front of Applebee's. I think they wanted Adrien to be the fall guy.
Put people on the map and type in ID, like Isaac, for Idaho, and then -16. It will literally show that highway leads into Highway 52. And Highway 52 drops you right into Payette, where exactly I said that I towed the car through.
There was no tow strap. Brandon said they had a tow bar. And he didn't say it like, he didn't say like, oh, no, it's a tow bar. He has said that originally. Stacy has changed his story multiple times. Do I think Brandon is innocent? No. Do I think they are all involved? Yes. Because he's adamant.
Absolutely, they're all involved. Absolutely.
Because Stacy is adamant to tell us how they got back from Kuna into Fruitland. What that proves to me is between 6:30 p.m. and when they arrived back at a little after 11 p.m., they had plenty of time.
Well, and
I got
Stacey's
you.
own interviews that he gave to clear himself put them exactly right there where they would have seen Michael when he was walking around seeking friends to play with. Stacy placed himself, Sarah, and Brandon right there at that intersection, right there where they would have seen him over on the corner of his street.
He placed himself right there. He placed himself exactly where the dogs lost their scent, Michael's scent. He also described Michael to a T and then said, could have been a girl, and then changed Michael's total appearance and said, this child had to have been at least 11 because he was filled out and Hispanic. No. It makes more sense now. Because this 9:56 p.m. when you took a picture of
that, remember when I told you that we pulled over because the toe strap snapped?
Mm-hmm.
That's where that picture was taken. I took that picture.
Okay, so that was at 10 o'clock at night outside of Payette.
No. That picture was taken at 9:53. That map that I just sent you was the same time that I took the picture of that part of the Mercedes at 9:56 p.m. And that was on the side of the highway where that red dot is on that picture. If you look, the positioning of that red dot, you'll see that it's on the right-hand side of the road.
Yeah, I'm looking. I just can't tell what town it's around.
It's not around a town. It's on the highway.
On Highway 16, going back to Fruitland.
Correct.
Okay, this says 9:56 p.m. Okay, so you just had your times confused because you couldn't have been back in the neighborhood between 9 and 10 if the toe strap broke at 9:56 p.m.
That was before we took off again. Correct. And like I told people on my chat, the live video, I said, my time stamps might be a little off.
Well, I can't remember exactly what time I got up this morning. Come on. Oh, his timestamps were way off.
Oh, but he was so proud of all his timestamps being accurate. I have all my timestamps and Brandon doesn't. Brandon doesn't have his timestamps and I have my timestamps.
But Genius, his timestamps put him right there when Michael was abducted and gave him ample time to go to Kuna, break into Tina's house, Brandon to throw clothes in the washer. Why? I don't know. I can only assume. Brandon to change clothes, and then to leave again, towing this car that had been broker than a donkey's dick since April. He already had a vehicle.
Exactly. I believe that they took Michael to Tina's, and at least for that night, that's where Michael was at.
And I agree fully with you. Because the dogs did not hit on poop at her house.
No, Tina, the dogs did not.
No, but this says 9:56 p.m. So when you said, we were there, between, you said 9 and 9:30, and then you said we were back in the neighborhood between 9:30 and 10. Well, obviously that time is off because this shows you on the side of the highway at 9:56 p.m.
Exactly. My fucking point though, my time.
He's such an idiot. He is such an idiot. because he kept saying we were back by 9:30. I'm like, this timestamp that you sent me shows 9:56, because he was so proud of himself that morning, saying this other person had shown him how to get into his old Google. And I'm like, well, this can't be true. You were in Eagle, Idaho at 9:56 p.m. You couldn't have been back in the neighborhood towing the car. And from where he was on that highway to get back to Fruitland, especially towing a car, puts him back in the neighborhood after 11 p.m.
Timing might have been a little off, but was I ever, out of these pictures, was I ever wrong about the area, the direction that we took? No. Like, all this just points to my, makes my point that I was accurate. I remember precisely the direction we took.
Yeah, I see right there. You have the latitude and longitude. Is this where you stopped? Oh, that's the red dot you're talking about. This
The
is
little marker right there. Yeah, the red one. Yes.
Middleton Mill Canal.
Mm-hmm. It
Okay.
was right after that we pull out to the right hand side of the road. That's why it looks like the air that dot's positioned to the right of the road.
Okay, then I
That's
see.
where we stopped.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, to where we stopped. I hacked into Sarah's Facebook yesterday.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. Because, see, not all of her posts are public. She said,
No.
on the 27th, there is a boy missing in my neighborhood in Fruitland, Idaho. If you see any stray boy, please help. I don't know his name or anything, but he is missing is literally all I know.
Yep. And then if you look at that next one down, that's a post that I tagged her in on Facebook, and that's what I said on the 25th. Remember, people were confused because they thought it was the 26th. Well, that just confirms that she was in there on the 25th, and that picture that I sent you.
Oh, no, I got it.
And on August 1st, Adrien texted somebody else in the area and warned them to not let their child play outside alone because Idaho produces weirdos. Don't let blank play outside by himself because Idaho produces weirdos. He warned this person.
But Adrien has knowledge. He's laying low. He accused them of many, many things. I'm not taking up for Adrien.
No, absolutely not. Me either. But I do believe that he knows, and yes, he is running scared.
I
And
think out of the four, he has the least involvement. That's just me, though.
well, I think that, yeah, if you were not in the vehicle when Michael was taken off of his street while seeking friends to play with, and you just know what happened after that, then I would agree that you would have the least involvement than those who actively participated in taking him.
See, I don't have a timestamp on when you guys stopped on Highway 16 by
Yes,
the.
you do.
Okay, no.
Yes, you do. That's what that timestamp was that I sent you just now.
Well, let me look, because on mine it says 8:56 a.m. Of course, on your.
No, so that same.
Sorry, it's just crazy technology. Don't be frustrated.
No, I'm not at all.
I see that she posted. Oh, that might have been when you sent it to me. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
That picture is. I'm gonna just send you a screenshot of this real quick, because this is. So you have a picture of it all.
Because where you stopped at, outside of Middleton Mill Canal, that would
Yeah.
help, the timestamp, because
That's exactly the same timestamp that I just sent you. Watch.
okay, I'm sorry. So 9:56 p.m.
Is when we stopped, correct.
Got ya. Okay. Well,
So
we can
I'm
put this
sending
together easily.
Yeah, see?
Oh, yeah, we can put it together easily. Wild Man's mom said, so does he think a timestamp equals innocent? What the timestamp did was give them more time. And he thinks he's such a genius. He's like, oh, look, we were on Highway 16 at 9:56 p.m.
Yeah. It's exactly what he thought. He thought that, but that by continuously pointing out that he's got timestamps and using that word timestamp so many times and his timestamps, that he was showing his innocence. That is exactly what he thought. But if you follow all of these interviews and look at everything that he put out there, his timestamps actually put him in the place of where Michael went missing at the time Michael went missing.
Mm-hmm.
And not coming back into the neighborhood until late. His timestamps put him around the valley in places where children were that day. His timestamps do not put him as Mr. Innocent. They put him right there in the heat of it, in the thick of it.
In the thick of everything. And I was like, oh, this helps me a lot, because you said you headed out at 4:30. Your timestamp shows you were right there when you saw the child during the time that the child was abducted.
Exactly. And even prior to that, he put out a timestamp that, conflicted with Brandon and Sarah having been in Nampa at Applebee's, because he tried to put the time they stopped to put fluid in the car as earlier in one of his previous interviews, like with you. And then later that timestamp changes because he puts them being there with him on that street, putting fluid in the vehicle when they were in Nampa without him, with Adrien at Applebee's. So he put out information right from the get-go that was conflicting what factually happened. And I don't know why he thinks he's such a genius, because he damn well knows that he sat and gave this information to law enforcement. He knows he's already told them where he believed Michael to be buried and what happened to Michael. He's told them what happened to Michael.
And he shit the bed when he found out Michael wasn't there. He came unglued.
He thought he was going to nail Sarah and Brandon to the wall with that one. He really did. The fact it's kind of crazy that Brandon's even having any kind of communication with him whatsoever, because damn, Brandon, he really tried to nail you.
Mm-hmm.
Big time.
Well, I know you have to drop out.
I do. So I want to thank everyone so much for continuing to, support Michael's case, and, and even when it's quiet, and we're not all, talking and chatting about it, just know that, it's appreciated. I know the family appreciates every single one of you. And I want to give Brandy again a big old happy birthday. And I love you. And I'll call you over the weekend, because I'm probably going to be heading that way. So thanks again, everyone. And thank you, Brooks. Have a great day.
Lena. Bye-bye, hon. She has worked so hard on Michael's case. I'm telling you. Oh, my gosh.
So look at that last picture I just sent you. So all I did, that little picture with that, you see the picture of the part that's in the middle of that picture? So I just tapped location where it says open in maps. That's where I got the exact address for that. 9:56 p.m. is attached to that map picture right there. Does that make sense?
Well, when it opens up, yeah, 9:56 p.m. Eagle, Idaho. Okay. I don't know the area that well. Sorry. I'm an idiot.
No, sorry.
Listen, I'm geographically challenged where I grew up.
It's okay. I'm not sorry. I know you don't know Idaho very well, so but I'm just sending this to you so you can put it together and make a little video with it, just verifying that, I wasn't lying when it came to the areas and directions that we went.
No, I'm looking right at it. No, that's fine. Okay, I see. So that's when the toe strap snapped.
Correct.
How many
That's
times
exactly
had you
right.
used that toe strap before? Because Greg was talking yesterday because he had to get one from Harbor Freight to tow a car just a short distance, nothing like what you were doing. And they have he coughs and gets congested when he's confronted with something he doesn't like. There was no toe strap. There was none. No toe strap broke. There was no taxi run that day. We're talking pure evil here. They have a lot more resistance.
What happened was the reason it snapped. You questioning why it snapped is because so when you have too much, like you have a little slack. Sarah hadn't towed a vehicle before, so what happened is she took off a little fast after we came to a stop.
Oh no!
And she took off and snapped the toe strap. That's why it like separated it, and that's why we had to pull over because I had to double knot it.
Mm. Look here, sailor's knot. You can't double knot a toe strap. It's not going to work. If it's broke, it's broke. You're talking about pulling a car. A toe strap is for going a small distance. I double knotted it. Oh, really? If you've ever been around a toe strap, you cannot double knot one. For one, it's really slick. It's just going to come right apart. So this is another lie. But they did stop there for something. Now, this is a stupid question. And no, I don't think you did anything to Michael. I really don't. Okay? So this is going to be a stupid question. It's only going to be, a possibility. Do you think while you were reconnecting the strap that possibly Brandon or Sarah, because Sarah had to pee at that point too, right?
Correct.
That he took that duffel bag telling you that there was clothes in it and put it in that canal?
No.
Okay.
The duffel bag wasn't even in the truck at that time. And I said that on the video. I literally said he took the duffel bag out at his house and went and washed his clothes.
Well, some people are wondering if maybe Michael was hit by the car, like Sarah not paying attention.
No, not even possible.
Okay. So? He said, no, not even possible. But then he says, oh no, the duffel bag isn't part of this scenario. Well, then the duffel bag did go to Tina's to do laundry, supposedly. Yet, supposedly, Brandon kept dirty clothes all around their house. Stacy said the duffel bag came back out, but then Sarah and Brandon went back to finish the laundry at the Kuna house, Tina's house, the next day. I can tell you something right now. I wouldn't pay a rat's piss of attention to a damn duffel bag if I'm going to tow a car. That's my job. That's what I'm doing. That's it. He showed us the map, huh? You've been on Highway 16 before.
Yeah.
In
Right.
Idaho. Well, that's where the tow strap broke. And it's by the, hang on, the Middleton Mill Canal. But Greg was talking about tow straps yesterday. He says they're a pain in the ass.
They are. They're a bitch. But when you don't have a trailer, you have to make do.
Mm-hmm. And see, and the canal just comes right across Highway 16. Now, how far from where you guys stopped was it to Fruitland? Because this is at 9:56. I have the timestamp.
It's probably like
Mhm.
10, 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. So you weren't too far from home.
No, not at all.
Yeah, Greg's saying that when you're going down Highway 16, because he remembers that he's a truck driver. He said you actually on that highway drive over the canal.
You do. You have to go over the canal, and that highway drops into Highway 52. It connects.
It's actually 52 minutes or more if you look at the Google map. And that's on Highway 84. He dropped down to 52, which is even longer. He's saying, oh yeah, just like 15 minutes away. No. It was like an hour away. So what went on in that hour? We all want to know.
Highway 52 is what it turns into, and Highway 52 leads you directly into Fayette.
Okay, well, this makes much more sense. Yeah, this makes a lot more sense. I still think that Sarah and Brandon, I can't really say too much about Adrien because he wasn't with you, and he wasn't with you at the time that Michael was abducted. I don't know where he would even fit in, but I just can't quite figure out what the hell these two were doing, you know, and why they used you so badly.
I'm just verifying that they were with her the whole time, so.
He said, I'm just verifying that they were with him the whole time. Listen again. And why they used you so badly.
I'm just verifying that they were with her the whole time, so.
I'm just verifying they were with him the whole time. Who is him? Is him Michael or Adrien? Because Adrien is not part of the puzzle at this point. I'm just verifying that they were with him the whole time. Who is him? Listen again. Quite figure out what the hell these two were doing, and why they used you so badly.
I'm just verifying that they were with her the whole time. So, like, there was not a time that we hadn't been together that night.
Well, who's him? Who is him? Who is him? We know Brandon was there. We know Stacy. We know Sarah, but who's him? I would say it's Michael Vaughn. Oh, that's understood. Well, I mean, can we go through your maps on a show? Give you time to, think some more and go through it? Because I think this will make things.
Use what I have. You can use what I sent you because that's all I have.
Okay, well, I mean, I would like for you to come up and explain. You've got some women that are And he said, basically, that's it. That's all the maps. That's what I've got. And I put them up. Joy said, and I love the wind chime. I do. I do too. It's very calming. But Stacy is in jail for his probation violations, which have nothing to do with Michael Vaughn. But if you look at the connection from when he was arrested in 2022 and what he was arrested for, the whole argument was over moving the grill. He also tried to take a plea deal for 15 and 7 because he said that's where Michael was. They're not digging up anyone's backyard because Stacey Wandra says something. They have to have more information. Let's take a second and look at some pictures of Michael Vaughn. And it's horrible. It's heartbreaking. It's disgusting. And we know at least 4 people have information that can end this today. But they're more scared about their own backsides. That's what they're scared about. The fact is, according to federal court. Stacy Wandra has been communicating with Brandon Shirtliff, Randy Strickland, and Carson Starkey while he was on parole. And that's a big no-no. Don't get me going on his drugs, not going to counseling, not getting a job, switching addresses all the time. They don't care about that. But justice is coming. And today's a perfect day to talk about it because today is Good Friday. So in closing, we are going to celebrate Good Friday. Hallelujah. That is for sure. Today is Good Friday. We have a huge weekend coming up. If anyone would like to have an Easter special Sunday morning, I can stream it from our church and we can all celebrate together. I've got no issue with that. I'll make sure OJ doesn't mess with the show. Right now, he's very upset. It's not about chocolate bunnies and Easter bunnies and all that stuff. We know what it's about. And the fact that all of you are here today for Michael Vaughn means more than you'll ever know. Because I say it all the time. Y'all are here for the right reasons every day. We know there's other things going on. We know there's drama. We know there's fighting. We know there's the tragedy pimp talking. But you're here for the right reasons. And that's why I love you to pieces. You're amazing family. Amazing. I hate the word community. It sounds like a damn cult. You are amazing. Let's send some good vibes out for law enforcement to each other and enjoy our Easter weekend. Again, thank you to Lena for coming up and going to court the other day. And looks like we have some votes here that we are actually going to have our Easter celebration here on Sunday. Okay, I'm all for it. So I will see you back here Sunday morning. And it's going to be a good one. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you so much for being the best chat and best community on what I call the filthy YouTube streets.